morning, Anambra, and welcome to Good Morning Anambra show. Today, we're looking at life in diaspora. The bias in all right, we're going to look at life in diaspora. What actually is it like? And why do you think people, are migrating to other countries of the world? And how life has been treating them, and so much more. This is what is going to form the crux of our discussion this morning on Good Morning Anambra. My name is Nonye Mokoye, and I still have my colleague in the studio.
I want to say welcome.
All right, we have guests in the studio who is going to help us look at this issue. The first person is Honorable Mrs. Bridget Obi. She is a former Commissioner of Women Affairs in Anambra State. We're glad to have you, Honorable. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Dear Anambra, please give us your time this morning.
All right, we also have Honorable Hubert Oragui. Honorable Hubert Oragui is a psychologist. Welcome to the studio, Hubert.
Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, let's roll. Life in diaspora. Let me begin with you, Honorable Mrs. Bridget Obi. What do you think life in diaspora is like?
Thank you, my sister. Life in diaspora can be very good for some people, can also be very harsh to some people. I think it actually depends on the status while going to the country. If you go to the country, as an ambassador or as a government official, you are treated like a king because that everything is there for you. If you go as a student, it's another ball game. If you migrate without actually your papers, oh my God, it's equally another scale of difficulties. So there are different qualifications. If you are born, or maybe your parents had you in those countries, and from birth you become a citizen, and maybe your parents got back to your country to their country of origin. When you grow, you can easily go because you have a nationality or citizen. So that one, you are just a British or an American. It gives you even a more better status.
All right. Did I let you know that we have an experienced person in the studio? Honorable Hubert, what is it like? I know that you've been living outside the shores of this country. Tell us what life in diaspora is like.
Well, it can be sweet. It can also be bitter.
Really?
Just like Madam said earlier on, one major issue is how you got there, why you got there, and who got you there. Some people tend to go there as visitors, believing that they will automatically or at some point change to become citizens. That is the most difficult part. Because that's where you end up marrying who you shouldn't marry in the first place, just to get papers.
Yes.
That's where you end up hiding, everywhere so that the government doesn't get hold of you and deport you. And then you might end up staying abroad for 20, 30 years without visiting home because you haven't got the papers. But if you go there, for instance, as a student, and you know what you're doing, and you train very well, there's a good chance you just might get a job. And in doing that, you get your papers. And then you live like everybody else, you live a normal life. But those who cross the deserts and the seas and so on and so forth, 9 out of 10 times they end up nobodies at the end of the day. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, I want to come on from the angle of most Nigerians who traveled abroad, beg your pardon, and then they kind of refused to come back. It was reported over the years that this is derogatory and not kind of unacceptable because the perceived reason for going there over time was to go and study. Some go for legitimate reasons. But you find out that in recent times, some will go there, they don't come back. Is it because they are finding it comfortable there, or is it because where they traveled from, that is the Nigerian country, is worse than where they are? I'm aware that they jokingly say overstayed Nigerians were sarcastically called Big Brother by the newly arrived ones because they have overstayed. Some of them stayed 20, 30, 40 years without coming to their home front. What is really responsible for that? Is it the government not placing conducive environment for the people who are traveling out, for them to go and do whatever they want to do and come back? And then when they get there, they find conditions very conducive for that. Okay, you've been there and you just came back, so let's start with you.
Well, the truth is, sometimes you don't blame people who go there and don't come back. For some, it takes 10, 15, 20 years to get the necessary papers to even visit home. And by that time, they get used to the soft life there. I mean, where I stay, which is UK, I can tell you on authority that life there is softer, better, more
amplify that. Soft life, what do you mean?
Soft life in the sense that you want electricity and you turn a switch on. You want water, you turn a tap on. You know, a pan gets you a bottle of milk or a crate of egg. And then come to Nigeria, you turn the lights on and they're not coming on. I mean, where I live at the moment for the past 4 days, I've not had electricity. I've not had water. So why would I now want to live here if I have the chance of living over there? Who wants to suffer?
Okay.
From my own perspective, I would say that I think that anybody that traveled abroad and have relationship with their own families or have friends, it depends on when did you travel. If you, for example, traveled after you were matured and you have friends, you have relationships, you have things that can actually make you to visit Nigeria, you can still be abroad and visit Nigeria. And then, even if you marry and have your family there, you still come back from time to time, and because you know that no matter what is outside, home is home. But you have to actually have that kind of people that will, or relationship.
No matter where you're going,
home is home.
But let me come in this way. Today, okay, let me begin with what is obtainable then. That in a family, the Omunna might decide to bring money to send somebody that is intelligent to go out and acquire knowledge and come back home. But today, what we see, it's quite different from what is obtainable then. That somebody will go to study, from there the person decides to make up his paper. Even parents want their kids to stay there. What do you think is responsible for this?
Just like he said, there are better opportunities. There are better opportunities. We have raised our children. Family has evolved. The way I suffered and adopted to suffering is not the way my children will adopt to hardship or suffering.
I remember that time that these people are eager to come home with the knowledge acquired overseas. But today, it's no longer the same.
It is no longer the same because the job opportunities are not there. And two, that if you are there, you are just, you just focus on your family, your nucleus family. In here, in fact, in Nigeria, for example, you can have 100,000. That 100,000 does not even go to your own. You cannot spend 10,000 out of it in your own personal things. Is this person want? This person want? So many of them feel that it is a way of escape to a lot of dependency that we have in our country today. Mm-hmm. And yes, and when they start having their children, for example, they also want their children to get the good things. Because if you are abroad, for example, I lived in UK, and when I lived in UK, by the time you have your first pregnancy, you are just like the property of the government. The government is so interested in that baby, that fetus that is inside you. From 1 month, you are given everything. Free milk, free antenatal, free drugs, free that. You are even paid. People are being paid even to have children. Because they don't have now that Nigeria's population is increasing, most countries of the world, they have, decreasing population. So for a woman to be pregnant, oh my God, you are an asset, because it is the future of that country. And that is why when you go to places like UK today or America, you see that alien people that came from other countries are the people that are taking over the population of those countries. If you have 3 children, 4 children, you are paid monthly. Your children have free school, free medical. Doctors come to the house, anything. In fact, it's just pimp and the doctors are there, nurses are there. Anywhere, it's just a life that has been culture structured for even a fetus to be able to survive.
Well,
that's a wonderful experience there, if you ask me.
I'm a little bit not comfortable with this scenario you're painting, because I'm aware.
Scenario an experience that you had?
Okay, good. I'm aware that most people recently that travel outside the country, some of them go there, they become housemates, clean toilets. They are not regarded as citizens. They don't actually experience all this we're talking about.
That is if you come illegally, if you are an illegal entrance. But if you are there, for example, when we went as a student. So we are legally there, and before and that was in the 70s, before even that the severe. 3 of my children are citizens. Today they have finished, they graduated in Nigeria, they migrated to UK, and they are living, they married, even the Nigerian wives they married are British citizens today. So it's just a free world. If you enter, if you had entered at a particular time. But by this time now, they don't actually, that citizen rights are no more citizen. You can come and have, your child is recognized, but you may not have the rights they used to have before Margaret Thatcher.
Okay, please come into this.
Talking about people who go there to do cleaning jobs, things like that. Even people who are there legally, they do cleaning jobs as well.
Yeah.
And because you're paid by the hour, there's minimum wage that you must get paid. And whatever you get paid actually, compared to what is in Nigeria, is much more than what a director in a ministry takes home. Do you understand? Yeah. And it's about the standard of living that you get over there, as opposed to what you get here. Being a director here, if you haven't got extras, you find it difficult to feed yourself and your family, even as a level 17 officer. But there, even as a cleaner, you take back on home every day.
Yeah.
You take better pay.
Well, the pictures I'm seeing from all these discussions, it's just telling me that our kids will continue to migrate, But what my fear now is the manner in which the young ones want to get to this place, by all means. I don't know what you will have to tell the younger ones watching this program. Life is so beautiful, according to you that have been there. Life is so good. And when we come back here, is a different ball game. And I can tell you confidently that even my kids that are still in secondary school, they have this inclination, I'm going to go out, What do you have to tell our younger generations that they have it at the back of the mind, they must get to there by all means? Just like the case we had during Libya, that the people are being deported, some had godly, ugly experiences, So what do you have for our young ones?
The truth is that, desperate people do desperate things.
Yeah.
The situation is desperate, and everyone wants to, the first need of man is food, then shelter, then clothing. And when you cannot afford this, then you become desperate. It is only natural. And so, for us to be able to curb this, our government has to sit up, really. Provide employment, make life a little bit more comfortable for the youth, and then give them hope. Except and unless we do this, the youth will continue to go through the deserts and the seas abroad just to make better lives for themselves and their families.
All right, Madam, you have anything to add?
Yes, what I want to say is that even life abroad is not just honey and sweets. The work attitude is very, 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 very correct. You have to work for your pay. In Nigeria, we don't work for our pay. If you are a cleaner and you have to start your cleaning by 7, by 6:49, you must have been there waiting. If you are working for 1 hour, if they pay you that 1 hour, that 1 hour, you earn it. If you don't take it serious, the next day you are off. So when you go abroad, it is not something if we can devote the kind of man-hour and the kind of work attitude that we give abroad, if we put it in Nigeria, Nigeria will be better.
All right, welcome back to the studio. It's still Good Morning Anambra show, and we are looking at life in diaspora. Right now, we're going to look at how kids are raised abroad. You will agree that some families are bringing home their kids right now to school around here. Let's see what our guests have got to tell us about that. Now, let me begin with you, Ma. You know, what is it like raising
I think that it is actually a combination of culture. We have a culture. We have discipline. We don't, we tend to inculcate our culture, behavior, everything to our children here. But in abroad, there's so much rights, and the children grow up to have their rights. Even my daughter, actually, right now, her daughter is in primary 5, and she has already taken the common entrance to come to Nigeria. I think for me, about 3 of my children, I brought them back to Nigeria, and they went through the secondary school, they went through the university, their first degree, before they returned back.
Why?
To UK.
Why?
Maybe it's just that we already came back and we didn't want to leave them there. But I believe that Nigerianization, that Ibonization, that culture came into them. Even now, my daughter lives in London. My son lives in Manchester. Even the other one that lives in London, I managed to say, okay, you just come back to Nigeria and stay. And he, after studying first degree, second degree, he had an office in London. Nigeria is a better place for you. And I think he came back to Nigeria. He has struggled, and he's coming up to that place. Because I believe that in Nigeria, it's just that many people just, copy and paste. You take children of the privileged and put them where they shouldn't be. If children that have walked through, the thicks and thin of life and emerge, when they take over any establishment, everything, Nigeria will just be even better than America. Because if you go to the United States, if you go to these countries, young Nigerians are doing exploits. But here, people just copy-paste. You are a son of a president or governor. You don't even know how to brush your teeth. You are made an MD of some place. So what can they offer? That is just the wrong placement. If Nigeria can place the right people, the right young people, the ones that are innovative, the ones that have struggled through life to man most of their organizations, in fact, Nigeria will surpass any place because we have.
Okay, before now, you told us something. The government should do something. Yeah. I know of a woman who said he got married to an European, and then they have kids. They have just visited Nigeria only once, and that time they visited, the children look at the whole place. They said, "Look, man, what are we doing here? This is a whole of shit." And they said, looking at the entire environment, they felt that they are not comfortable. And the man said, "Look, I'm not going to stay here with you. We're going back." So it's difficult. And then they decided not to come back again. Now, do we blame the government or the individuals who refuse to accept the very condition which they are into?
I'll tell you something. In psychology, they said that the first 5 years of a child's life determines to a large extent what the child will be in the future. My son, from the time he was 2 years old, I started telling him that he's a Nigerian.
Yeah.
You will build your house here.
Yeah.
You will live here. I'll be glad if you choose a wife from Nigeria, wherever you are. And guess what? When he turned 4, in 2015, when he turned 14, we all came home. And he went behind my back and was telling my cousin he wanted to stay in Nigeria, he didn't want to go back to the UK. And that is because from the word go,
you have instilled.
I've instilled that thing in me. So even though for like 2-3 days there was no light, there was no water, he was still comfortable and happy. Because in his brain, I've managed to put it in that he's a Nigerian. This is your home wherever you are. So behind my back, he was lobbying to stay in Nigeria. You would have thought, though, he'll want to rush back to Europe. Even as I speak to you now, he spoke to me this morning, telling me that after his college, he wants to come back to Nigeria and attend university here. So it's about upbringing.
Upbringing.
And it is not always good for you to bring up your children in the soft way where they know that even if they don't have a job, they will get paid their house, all their bills, and everything is paid for, which is what happens in the UK. When you bring them to Nigeria, for instance, they see the other side of life, because you don't know where they might find themselves the day after tomorrow. You know, which is why in my house, for instance, when the Weetabix is finished, you drink cornflakes. If it is finished, you eat yam. Because tomorrow you just might be left with yam.
If it is finished, you drink akamu.
Yeah. Tomorrow you just might be left with yam. Yeah, that is the truth. Even if I've got money to buy this other one. That is where we were brought up by our parents. And today we know that for as long as there's food in the house, it doesn't matter whether it's rice or beans or whatever, you eat it with joy. But when you bring up children in the way that they believe that, well, everything is at my beck and call, just so that they wouldn't want to stay here.
Honorable Mrs., you said something about children having a lot of rights over there. Can we look at them? These rights, when a child, like we used to hear that a child can call police on the parents. Yes. What's your take on that?
Well, it is not our culture, but all the same, if you go abroad, there's a lot of abuse by parents. But what I say abuse by parents is that couple, like a white people, can actually get so angry with the child if the child is crying, and because they live, a very seclusive life. There's no relationship. Many of them don't have relationship, so they take their anger, especially families where there are, many don't have friends. You can stay in a house and nobody visits you. In 1 year, nobody comes to visit you as a friend. It's only you go to pub, drink, or you have your night out. Some of them, when they want to have, because it's a life that you don't have, you can't come to my house just like that. I don't have friends. Everybody is busy working. So the people, so it's just a life where people are left, that a little thing, anger, frustration comes in, and the only people you can invest it on are their children. Can you imagine? It is snowing, it is cold, and you lock your child in because you want to go. You can't lock the children. There are certain age you can't live alone. If you leave children alone in the house that they are below maybe 15, and that may be fire, there's a lot of incidents. So when you do that and somebody reports you, make sure you are going to lose those children, especially if you are conversant.
You lose them?
Yes. Government will come and take the children and give them to foster parents. If you have a child and he's crying every night, and it seems that somebody is not taking care of that child, and your neighbor not even the child, your neighbor can call the police and say, there's this family that are living by me, that their children are always, the child there is only, please, can somebody come and investigate? And in the morning, you see a social officer, a social welfare officer knocking on the door and wanting to know, where is that one? And when they discover that you are on drugs, because parents can be on drugs, parents can be just anything, and they leave their children. I'm not saying that is the lifestyle of a typical African parent. But there, it is very, very popular. So because of that, they have to protect their children. Even where you have people abusing and things like that. So they tend to protect their child. Your child has to be in school. If the child doesn't go to school, why? These things are...
In other words, Hubert, you don't train your children alone.
No, you don't train your children alone. But these are some of the dangers in bringing children up abroad when you compare it to our culture. Because when they go to school, for instance, they are being taught about their rights. If your parents shout at you the way you don't like, report it. If your parents smack you, report it. That is abuse. And then they are being taught that they can choose their sexuality. So a boy can actually wake up and say, well, I'm a girl now. I tell those who care to listen, I say, our prayer points in UK is a lot longer than the prayer points here. Yeah. Because here you assume.
Yes.
You readily assume that your son will marry a woman, and your daughter will end up marrying a man.
But there is not like that.
But there, you like to be praying, God, instead of my daughter, marrying a woman, let her get pregnant for me at the age of 13. Yeah. So these are some of the dangers there. And then, like here, we speak in colors here. There they understand in black and white.
Yes.
So your child will be like drawing on the wall. If it's in Nigeria, you say, "What are you doing?" The child will run away. But there, if you say, "What are you doing?" She will say, "I'm drawing on the wall."
And you say,
right. Will you stop drawing? And the child will turn around and say, "Why?" And you have to explain why.
Why you should stop?
Yes, because he has his own rights. you know. But the most dangerous part is teaching a child that you can actually, from the age of 2, 3, 4, choose your sexuality. So you can decide that I want to be a boy. I don't want to be a girl anymore. I want to be a boy. I want to be a girl. And then even in the National Health Service there, they can actually do the surgery free of charge. The sex change. It is free of charge virtually. And so if you want to change the sex organ, you become somebody different. And so our culture, it is gets angry. You don't want to hear about it. These are some of the dangers. And so these are one of the reasons, again, why every now and again we have to bring our children home to see the other side of life.
Right. And also, it is also good for parents, like you visit your children and their grandchildren, and you also, because most of the time they may not be able to be here. For me, every year I travel to be with my grandchildren. And then I spend 2 months, and in that 2 months, they eat gari, they will, they eat akara, they drink akamu. Now, all of those things, menus, if I'm going, I'll pack everything, I'll cook up. At the time, when they come back, Mommy, I want gari. Now they say, I want gari. It's gari that I want, a draw soup. They know all those things. So we as grandparents also owe our children something. We must be able to visit them, to integrate them, to help our grandchildren if that lineage will be able to be kept.
Could it be the reason behind many people struggling to travel abroad? Because the environment here is not as the same as there. Now, I'm talking about what you said before now concerning light, health insurance, education, and the rest of them. And people go through back doors to travel outside the country. What can be done about that?
Well, what can be done is that, for instance, our primary and secondary schools, we have to revive them, revive the PTA. Then parents themselves should stop this attitude of I pass my neighbor, sending their children to private schools even when they cannot afford it. Because for as long as we continue to do that, then who will be there? Who will be the PTA? Who will pressurize the government to look at our schools, and do the improvements that are necessary? For as long as we keep, you see parents in the villages who don't even earn 50,000 naira a month. They're sending 3 or 4 of their children to private schools in the next town because their neighbor is doing the same. And then they keep bringing all the uncles and aunties everywhere to send school fees. So for as long as we continue to do that, our public schools will continue to go down the toilet.
All right. For want of time, please, your last word, madam, before we go.
My last word is actually that there's no place that is bed of roses. Even if you go to abroad, for you to survive, you must work your ache out. Some people do 3, 4 jobs to be able to survive. But here, there's a lot of people, if the time we give abroad, we can give it to whatever we are doing by true focus and time, we will make it and be comfortable and travel. I think abroad is best when you travel. You go to New York, you spend your money, you spend the name, when the weather is, you just, for me, you can't even buy me to stay at school. Immediately I make my decisions. No, I'm going, So try to actually, it is fun when you go out, but please don't go as an illegal immigrant.
All right, your last words before we go.
What I would say is, in the situation, let the government do their bit to make life more comfortable, and let the citizenry do their bit also to move our country forward. So we don't need to go abroad illegally.
Because even in those countries, it was their people that built it.
All right, and that's how it's been today on Good Morning Anambra Show, looking at life in diaspora with Honorable Hubert Oragui, a psychologist who has really shared your experience with us. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
It's been nice having you around. Honorable Mrs. Bridget Obi, former Commissioner of Women Affairs in Anambra State. Thank you so much, ma, for coming.
Thank you, my dear. It's been wonderful sharing this with you.
All right. Thank you so much for watching. Join us again tomorrow. For now, we're out of here. My name is Nonye Nwokoye.
My name is Theophilus Okoha. Thank you for joining us.